Today we are talking about a tiny car that shocked the whole world. A car with only around 90 horsepower, small size, and almost toy-like shape. Yet it made history and refused to be forgotten. This is the story of the Nash Metropolitan, a legend that proved size is not everything. People laughed when they first saw it. A tiny car in a world filled with huge American classics, long tail fins, big chrome grills, and roaring V8 engines. The year was the early 1950s, a time when cars were growing bigger and stronger. Then arrived a small, cute-looking machine named the Nash Metropolitan. People joked that it looked like a toy car, a car for children, something that would never survive on real American roads. Yet the truth was different. The Metropolitan was born from a change that was quietly happening. After World War II, people wanted something easier, something cheaper to run, something that did not drink fuel like a thirsty monster. The world was changing faster than anyone expected. Fuel prices were rising, roads were crowded, cities were growing. The idea of a small, practical car was no longer silly, it was smart. The Nash Motor Company approached the idea carefully. They studied what people actually needed. Most families had only one or two people riding daily. Huge engines and massive frames were not necessary for everyday life. So Nash partnered with Austin in the United Kingdom to create a small, efficient, and affordable car. That car became the Metropolitan. It had around 90 horsepower in its later models and even less in early versions. That number looked weak next to cars boasting 200, 300, or even 400 horsepower. Still, the Metropolitan had one thing those big muscle cars did not: purpose. It was built to be light, efficient, reliable, and charming. It did not try to impress with raw power. It tried to win hearts. Many people remember the first time they drove a Metropolitan. The seating was cozy. The steering was light. The car felt simple and friendly. It was not a machine meant to intimidate. It was a machine meant to accompany you. That is why many first-time car owners chose the Metropolitan. Students, small families, and people living in cities found it ideal. Still, critics kept mocking it. Car magazines said it was too slow. Muscle car lovers called it weak. Yet while they laughed, the Metropolitan quietly grew a loyal fan base. People who drove it loved it. They did not care what others said. They cared about how it felt. This is where the story begins to turn. The Metropolitan, despite its small size, was stubborn. It did not fade away. It did not disappear. It stayed, and slowly its value started to grow. Not just as a car, but as a piece of history. A reminder that bravery sometimes looks small. The Metropolitan proved something important. A car is not great because it is big. A car is great because it matters to someone. The Metropolitan did more than survive. It began surprising people. Drivers found that although the car had only about 90 horsepower, it handled tight roads beautifully. While heavy cars struggled through narrow streets and busy markets, the Metropolitan slipped through smoothly, like a dancer instead of a fighter. One story became famous. A group of muscle car owners were showing off outside a diner. They laughed at an older man who drove up in a Nash Metropolitan. They challenged him to a little street drive, not a race, just a test. Everyone expected the muscle cars to take the lead easily. The road they followed was not straight. It had curves, hills, and narrow bends. The muscle cars rushed ahead with loud engines, but their size worked against them. They had to slow down for every curve. Their brakes heated. Their steering felt heavy. The Metropolitan stayed light. It moved like it belonged to the road. The older man did not push hard. He simply understood his car. He knew its balance. He knew how it breathed. When they finished, the muscle car owners were silent. They had been beaten in a way they never expected, not in speed but in control. This moment changed how many people viewed the Metropolitan. It was not weak, it was skilled. Collectors later realized that the Metropolitan represented a rare philosophy, a car that believed in smart design instead of raw strength. It also had a unique two-tone paint style, a happy face-like front grille, and a cheerful personality. It was not only a car, it was a character. Over time, the Metropolitan became more than transportation. It became personal like a companion. Today, almost 70 years later, the Nash Metropolitan still appears at car shows. People gather around it with smiles. Some remember learning to drive in one. Some remember seeing one in their neighborhood as a child. Some simply admire the courage of a small car living in a big car world. When the engine starts, it does not roar, it hums gently. That sound brings peace. Not everything needs to be loud to be powerful. Young car enthusiasts now look at the Metropolitan differently. They see history. They see a moment when someone dared to break the pattern. Many classic cars became legends for speed or luxury. The Metropolitan became a legend for heart. Even restoration experts feel differently about it. When they restore a Metropolitan, they treat it with care, almost like restoring a memory instead of a machine. The car has aged with dignity. It has survived trends, decades, and opinions. And here is the miracle. The same car people laughed at in the 1950s now sells at auctions for impressive prices. Collectors pay not for its horsepower, but for its story. The Metropolitan showed the world something simple. You do not need to be the loudest to be remembered. You just need to be true to yourself. Thank you for watching. The Nash Metropolitan reminds us that greatness can come in small shapes and quiet forms. If you enjoyed this story, kindly like and subscribe. More legendary stories are on the way. Keep your heart open to the unexpected because history often hides in the smallest details.